Thank you, Remit. I really appreciate the lovely introduction. And yeah, there's not much more for me to say, to introduce myself other than I'm a solo, patent attorney working on both sides of the Atlantic. So Europe, UK, and as well as the US. Most of my work is in the US. 'Cause I think that's where the most demand is. But I've been in Europe for a long time now, and so I like practicing before the European Patent Office as well. It's good to see two different patent systems. So yes, that's been good. Okay, so yeah, we're here today, to talk about eco IP and protecting sustainable innovation in the age of AI. And yeah, I'm very happy to hear that the organizers have planted a tree for everybody that's joined. That's a fantastic initiative, and it makes you feel like that we're contributing to something here, that of helping the environment ourselves with our own conference here. Yeah, sustainable innovation really is to me, it's about new innovative ideas of all kinds, not just technology ideas, but also brands and other materials that are written, videos describing educational materials that help to protect the earth and its resources, really, because they are limited and they need to be protected. We're talking about green technologies, and we're talking about tackling problems of world hunger, like population growth is growing, and we need to deal with these limited resources, climate change, the poor health and education and poverty, sustainable use of the Earth's limited resources, really, is to sum it up. Electric vehicles are an example, wind turbines, batteries technology, as opposed to using oil and gas all the time. So these are the kind of things that are working, towards these goals. But now that we have these goals, and how do we incentivize companies, universities, research institutions, and private individuals to spend their own limited time, money, and talents on developing technologies in these areas and innovations in these specific areas, as opposed to any other area. I think intellectual property rights are the driving incentive for incentivizing people to do this. And now these include patents, so encouraging technology people to make new technical innovations to solve the problems that the earth is facing. Trademarks, marketing people would need some incentive to work on coming up with innovative brands that will capture the attention of consumers, to choose one product from one supplier versus another. That kind of a catchy brand is so important and is really a key innovation as well as patents. And so copyrights is another intellectual property right, like new educational videos to tell people about the problems and the solutions that they've identified. YouTube videos, maybe materials on the web that can be read so people can learn about these new technologies. Software for addressing the sustainability technology, or maybe interactive software for teaching people how these technologies can be used and accessed. Trade secrets are also protected under IP rights for manufacturing processes, business methods, or this kind of thing. And so governments can help with this by offering incentives. Like I know the UK government has a green patents channel where if you file a patent in the green technologies area, it will be examined more quickly. And this will be an incentive for inventors to get the patents filed in the UK without an extra fee involved. You just have to request it. And I'm sure there are many other countries that also have these green incentives as well. So once these intellectual property rights exist and people have been incentivized to create them in order develop these new technologies, what do the innovators do with these rights? Let's think about this. This is um, the area of exploitation. So the people who spend their time and resources and money on developing this technology, they would need to be somehow um, compensated for their time on this. So one way is to engage in licensing and perhaps to be paid a license fee in some cases. Um, and also, exploitation can involve attracting investment from investors because they have IP. Because an investor, if you think about it, is not going to want to invest in a company when other people can just copy them. And then, their investment is not going to be very worthwhile because all of a sudden, as soon as they bring their innovation onto the market, there's no IP rights. Everybody will see it and copy it, and then the investor has invested in the wrong company perhaps because others will go beyond where this company has gone. Um, the IP can be used to secure funding, loans from banks or other people who give loans, creditors, for investing in increasing the manufacturing infrastructure, building a plant to develop clean energy, for example. Um, so yes, I have a client at the moment who is developing clean, sustainable aviation fuel. They're called Aviox, and they're doing very well with this. And they're building plants, and they are really growing. And I file patents for them, and I'm helping them with their IP. So it's just an example of a green technology company. The other thing that you could do to exploit, the innovations here, and maybe, in not a way to make money directly, but maybe just to get the technology out there, is to disseminate it widely, sometimes for free, like using open source software. If it's software, just give it to people and let them have it to build on it, because oftentimes one innovation is only the beginning and it needs to be built on, and giving the basic building blocks to people for free will allow that to happen, and also get their name and reputation out into the public as an innovator. Um, Things like YouTube videos, putting these out for people to learn, and letting people watch them for free. Educational materials on a website. Maybe they can't be copied, but and make people can't use them as their own, but they can learn from them, and again develop the basic building blocks which they can innovate themselves, on. But now, having looked at the different sustainable innovations, um, and also the intellectual property rights, and then how those can be exploited or used, we now have to look at not all countries are equally placed to pay for access to these innovations. And the IP rights could, in fact, be seen as a barrier to world use, especially in developing countries. We need to be careful to strike a balance, I think. And I know WIPO, as part of the United Nations, is involved, with this. And we need to ensure access to the essential IP to the world, really, in order to solve the world's problems. If people are holding this to ransom, in some, no, so to speak, if people are holding the IP and nobody can use it without paying a huge fee, it's not going to solve the world's problems. So we need to find a balance. So we need to give incentive, like I said, to the developers so that they will spend their time and money. But then on the other hand, once they've developed it, we need to make it the essential IP needs to be made available. So balancing that is a tough job, and it is really an international negotiation, which needs to be done. And I know WIPO is heavily involved in this with their initiatives at the moment. Um, so. Affordable access is very important, and government policies to encourage sharing of essential IP is very important. Um, I know one example is compulsory licensing, where if something is absolutely essential to saving lives and saving the planet, IP owners could be forced to grant compulsory licenses on really, really fair terms, or even free terms in some cases where it's essential to save lives or to prevent very, very disastrous results. WIPO is working on this at the moment with their international discussions to achieve this balance. They have sustainable development goals, SDGs, that they've created in 2015, and they're really working on building some international, agreement on this. Um, so we need to strike this balance, and our governments really need to work together to see how agreements can be reached to strike the balance in the best way for the good of the whole world, really. Um, yeah, so that's really my introductory keynote talk. Yeah, I'll hand it back to you, Rem. It's just an opening, I'm sure we're going to hear more about these, but these are the basic themes that I could think of.